Welcome into Eye on Northeast Kansas, the podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. This is where we recap the week that was on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show, which comes to you live Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time from our WIBW-TV studios in Topeka, Kansas. We have a special trip down memory lane today. WIBW marked 70 years on the air this week. November 15th, 1953 is when WIBW-TV first broadcast, the first television station based in Topeka, so we're very proud of that. And we've had a great week, just reminiscing with some of the former employees who've made their way through the doors. We had a special gathering where several alums came back. We also invited the community in to thank them for their support over the years. And on the show, we were able to welcome some of those familiar faces and voices and get a look back at their memories and catch up with them now. We started with some very cool folks. You might remember our former news director and anchor, Jim Hollis, and my former partner, Ralph Hipp. And we put Ralph on the other side of the red couch today.
From this end to the other.
Yes, welcome back, gentlemen. 70 years,
good to be here.
My goodness. And refresh our memory, Jim, what years were you here?
I came here in 1969 after the tornado, and you lost a lot of people at that. And Don Parmley was the news director at the time, and said, "You want a job here?" I may as well. I'm working at KOAM-TV in Pittsburgh, and I'd been there when it was black and white television only. We shot Polaroid cameras to get the news, and it was a real poorly run but highly profitable station.
So from 69, and then when did you retire from here?
I retired in the mid-90s.
Mid-90s. It was before I came. I came in 96, and so I think
I
you
was
had
here
retired.
when you came for about maybe 6 months or something.
Yeah.
I had an office upstairs. They moved me up there and
So I'd see you when I decided to run up the stairs at the old building. And Ralph, of course, you just retired last September.
So it's been coming up 15 months ago. I also wanted to mention, Melissa, happy 15th anniversary of the Red Couch Show.
Yeah, has it been that
It's been 15
long?
years of all this. We were over at the news desk. We had an orange wall with the news desk, and our boss said, "I don't want you to do interviewing all these terrific people on the news desk. We're going to get you like a red couch or something like that."
And there we had a red couch. And I always tell people, I laugh, I say, Eye on Northeast Kansas has always been the name of the show, but Ralph got to affectionately calling it Red Couch, and it stuck. And so when I got new furniture in June, we got a red couch because we could not.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Jim, you were the news director, you were the boss, but you did a lot of reporting along the way. So we did kind of find some fun things. We dipped into the archives. So let's look at a little bit of video first of all.
I've seen broadcasting come from a curiosity to a necessity. More people now get their information from television newscasts than they do from any other source.
In Patton, one of Topeka's most historic neighborhoods, they have a lot of brick streets.
The honor to be bestowed on him tonight will be over at the Agriculture Hall of Fame, where he will be inducted.
The series now leaves the network and goes into syndication, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for new generations to see the history of Kansas and of Dodge City, as it was portrayed on the most popular Western ever on television, Gunsmoke.
And then you rode off into the sunset, and that's how you guys did the credits. You were wanted for train robbery,
Jim.
We
did unwanted posters.
What was your most fun memory that you had here?
I think it was the big news stories. I remember when the Whippoorwill sunk down south in a river or a lake south of Topeka. It was a Saturday night, and I was taking my family out to dinner. We just stepped out the front door, phone rings. I go to get the phone, and it's Kent Cornish, who is our producer, and it's a Saturday night. He said, "Head down to the lake in Osage County. There's been a bad accident. The showboat that had plays on the showboat while it was going around
It was that large
body
where
of
they
water.
could do that.
And it's a two-story thing.
Wow.
It had tipped over and people drowned.
And Kent was first on the scene, and I know you narrated a lot of the coverage.
I came down after it, and we were shooting film then. Everyone had a 16 millimeter Bell and Howell camera, and I did, and we shot. I remember shooting the video of them bringing the boat to the shore and turning it upright.
Wow.
I got that on one shot.
Amazing.
And, we went down the next day, organized really then, and kept doing newscasts.
And it was incredible to us to see that looking back, because the
Oh,
technology is
and
not what it was today when we
something
all
like
just use our
18 people
phones.
died, or
Yes.
20 people, something like that.
What about for you, Ralph? Favorite memory?
Gosh, I was talking to Dana Wright, who's one of your predecessors as a female anchor. And Dana's on the radio, even on the radio right now, has had a radio show and was asking me that when I left. And we were discussing Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, the Oklahoma City bombing.
Correct.
So I wouldn't say you don't dream of this, but you can't imagine it like it's a local Northeast Kansas story with global implications.
Correct, because even though Oklahoma City was the bombing site,
Yeah.
the bomb was built in our area, and you guys were tracing down a lot.
The fertilizer and ammonium nitrate bought right in this area at different locations. Terry Nichols being from Harrington, which they never said, don't say he's from here. Please stop saying that. And Timothy McVeigh. So that was a huge story.
Yeah.
And 9/11, we
Yeah,
all had
well,
our
we
assignments
did,
on
we
9/11.
did.
So some of the big stories.
Well, you guys sit tight, because we're going to have more from you two in a moment, but we also are going to hear from the man who spoke perhaps the most famous phrase in WIBW history. Next. You got it. Topeka's 1966 tornado tragedy would launch a Washburn University Law School student from part-time weatherman and host on WIBW to the CBS network and beyond. Bill Kurtis is etched in many people's memories for those iconic words, "For God's sake, take cover."
The building block that I got at WIBW and that tornado experience, you take in information and you give it to people who can solve the problem. That's a service that stayed with me as part of my blood. And I felt guilty all these years. People do say, oh, I was watching Bill Kurtis. I just happened to be on the air and met the test. Okay, that's fine. But the staff played their roles. And without complaint, everybody did their job. Elmer Gunderson, chief engineer and videotape. Don Franzen and Tom Scott, the directors, Max McDowell, who was in the newsroom, and others that, slipped through history.
Obviously, the tornado is the defining moment of your time here. But other than that, what was it you learned at WIBW that really paved the way for the rest of your career?
It was an opportunity in learning, an opportunity to create and just be on camera. Because you have to measure yourself against others on the air and practice yourself. So it was valuable.
You've gone on to do many things on the national level, but when you think back on your time here, and really when you look at the industry today, what do you see as the continued importance of local stations, local news, local journalism, local broadcasting?
Local broadcasting is community. And we come closer to serving the purpose that I think broadcasting was invented for than anything else. As a network worker, and draw upon my CBS Morning News days, you don't even see the audience until you get on a plane and walk through and say, oh yeah, I watched you this morning. But there's not that connection with the people you are serving. In a local community, you are, and the tornado, of course, is the prime example.
It's just great to hear those words of the importance of local television. And when you reflect, Ralph, 70 years of WIBW, the role of local television today, where do you see it?
Will we have a newscast the way it is now? Will it all be live streaming? You can live stream any newscast in the country from anywhere, anytime you want. That Walter Cronkite, the news by appointment, Jim, at 5:30, those days they're still with us a little bit, but particularly WIBW, there are some stations when you live in a city, you don't even remember the station. WIBW is so ingrained in Topeka, and I think the people who work here, we have a certain cachet. People want to know us and keep in touch with us and be our friends. More so than any other station I worked at. So WIBW and CBS knows the importance of this station and all that. So what a terrific station. They allow us to be the best that we can be. They let us stay. You guys let us stay as long as we wanted to be excellent.
Yeah, what is your role, Jim, as you were thinking about developing young journalists?
Well, when I started, I just got a job, and I was paid 5 cents an hour beyond minimum wage. And we worked 48 hours, fortunately, and you got 8 hours of overtime, and it was not very much.
But the experience, I mean, to have that front row seat to what's happening.
It's funny. It was funny to me because people started recognizing you. And I could get a check cashed any place in town.
Right. See what I was saying? Yeah.
People know, what's a check?
People knew me.
Yeah. Oh, it's Jim Hollis of 13.
Well, guys, I'm so glad that you could come back and share your memories and
What a
share
pleasure.
time
It's our
with us.
pleasure.
Thank you.
This is so much nicer than what it was originally.
Well, welcome home to the both of
Yes.
you. Appreciate that.
George assures me is going to be orange for all the kids when oh no, here comes the train. Anyway, that's going to turn orange and be ready for Halloween. It was cold last night as temperatures dropped into the upper 20s to lower 30s across a good portion of the Central Plains.
That laugh means only one thing. Former WIBW Chief Meteorologist Dave Relihan is in the house here on the red couch with Drew Switzer, who we still see every week for Drew at the Zoo.
Yes,
Welcome,
yes.
welcome home to both of you.
Well, thank you.
We're letting you back in the building. That's good.
Before we go on, congratulations on the new position,
Thank
news
you.
director.
Thank you.
I asked Melissa if she wanted to be station manager. She goes,
No, I'm doing okay in the newsroom. I don't need to oversee everything.
She's
That
been
would
in
be
charge
too much.
for a long time.
I'd have to like order supplies and,
Yeah.
I'm not good at that budget stuff. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that out loud, right? So, Dave, what years were you here?
what years were I
Yes.
here? 81 through part of 2000.
Yeah, it was quite some time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed working with you.
Yeah.
And Drew, when were you here?
I was here from 07 to 14.
I enjoyed working with you even though I never saw you, which is true.
Yes.
Drew was on the morning show.
Shifts, every once in a while, we'd see, high five each other as we change shifts.
Every once in a while, I'd be in early and be like, "Who are you again?" Drew, you do the morning weather. What is it like for you guys to have seen? And Dave, you especially, you saw through the technology and the changes in weather forecasting. And when you hear Bill Kurtis talking about, how it was largely relying on that visual before they could issue a warning, and how it progressed when you were here.
Well, we got in on the tail end of that, and I mean the radar. We did have an in-house radar, which was really the only live thing that we had available. Everything we got across the teletypes or the wires were hours old, and even severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings were minutes old. So, and then by 83, everything was moving fast. The computers had come online, and we were pretty much up to speed with the weather, trying to keep up with the weather, which was a huge leap forward. I won't say a big leap for mankind, but but it made a world of difference, and to bring us from basically the Bill Kurtis era from '66 into the computer age was like pulling teeth, really.
Yeah.
It was tough.
It's a long journey.
Well,
you try
to convince management and owners that we need a $150,000 system. I said, well, you have tape and magnets. What's wrong?
We've come a long way since tape
that?
and magnets. So when you're sitting there, Drew, you came here right out of college. What is it like to you to look around and see the history, particularly from the weather standpoint that this station has?
Yeah, it's great. I know folks like Dave and Jeremy, and just the history of the weather at WIBW is it's fun to be a part of. It's kind of like a fraternity of sorts. I kind of like to say that I grew up here at WIBW because I was here right out of college, and then until we had our first child.
Yes.
And so learned a lot. And when I drive down that hill to come down to the studio, it is like coming home. It's a fun thing to experience. And when I first started, we just started the social media age. So I remember Jeremy and I would be on Facebook answering everybody's question about, hey, when's the tornado going to hit Auburn, or all those specific questions. And then we transitioned to 2014 was my last year on air here, but Rob Peppers and Eric Ives actually had a tornado that we were able to stream live on television that spring. So it's fun to see how the technology changes.
For better or worse, that's what we have, is being able to see everything live, and everybody being able to do it. We have a lot of eyes and ears out there now. Do you both still watch the weather?
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe not on TV, but at least in the sky.
Oh, absolutely. I'm online every day looking at the weather. The same maps that I used to look at when I was working.
What does it mean to you? What was your favorite memory to be part of the 13 News WIBW family?
Oh my. To say that in a couple of sentences would be impossible. I do remember the beginning years where with the Stauffer family, it was so much. It was like family, and it was so much fun. But at the same time, it was a job, and you didn't realize how important the job was. And I didn't until I got a letter from the Brown County Red Cross. We had covered a severe storm that had, according to radar, by this time it would indicate rotation or rotational or at least shear, wind shear. We followed that up into Brown County. We got a letter about 3 days later that said, "You've saved some lives up here," and that just, that really hits it home. That brings it home.
Drew?
Jeremy and I were just reminiscing about all the weather events that we covered, but probably the one that sticks out the most in my mind are two of them. The 2008 tornado that hit Manhattan. I think it was like June 11th of 2008, and then the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day snowstorm of 2009. I think it was. So just fun to cover those weather events that we can all remember where we were when those events happened.
We have had many memorable and talented people bring you the news over our 70 years, and these three ladies are no exception. Mary Loftus, Sally Baltes Lunsford, and Betty Lou Pardue are back with us today to help celebrate on our birthday. Thanks for coming back.
Happy birthday!
I know.
Happy birthday!
And you know, I've worked with all three of you. Of course, Mary hired me, Sally kept me around, and Betty Lou kind of kept me sane. I guess that's kind of how you would
Betty Lou kept you sane.
Because, she doesn't let you take yourself too seriously.
Yeah,
and that's
true
why
enough.
we love having all of you here.
Right.
So Mary, what years were you here?
Oh, golly. I think 83 through 98.
That sounds about
maybe.
right. And then Sally?
1990 through 1999.
Okay, and
80s and 90s. But may I just say, I am honored to be here with three news directors, former and present. I salute you all
and
three.
You know what? And I do need to give credit where credit is due, because people have said, "Oh, Melissa, congratulations, the first female news director at WIBW." I said, I have had some fabulous ladies pave the way. So I appreciate that for all of you. And Sally, thank you for not kicking me out of the newsroom. When I was first hired, anytime I had a question, I came to Sally. And I'm like, she must think I'm the, you just you were so patient with me. So thank you.
No, it was like, you can't leave, Melissa. It was more like that.
So let's start with your best memories of this place, Mary. What was it that kept you going? What made this place special for you?
I think my best memories are being in this environment and working with all of y'all and all our other colleagues. And I think that what was so wonderful about it is that we worked hard. There was that, drop dead deadline, noon, 5, 6, 10.
Right.
And, news could break at 5 till.
Yes.
And you couldn't put it off. You're just, running to get the story and get on the air with it. And there's a lot of adrenaline, but also it's bonding. I think it's a bonding experience.
That's why we all come back.
Yeah, and we all have such a good time. Had such a good time together.
That's true.
A lot of laughter.
You're still laughing. I mean, you're trying to get them to quiet down when we're on the air. Like, no. How about for you, Sally?
In addition to the hard news stories, and everybody thinks of that, I had the good fortune to do a lot of fun things, Topeka Tidbits and shopping with Sally, which was a lot of fun. In fact, Mary said we had to make you the news director to get you off the air with shopping with Sally. It got pretty wacky.
You were spending too much.
It was pretty wacky. I was spending too much, that's right. So all those things were, wonderful to be able to have so much fun too. And everybody, you've heard it many times, everybody has a story to tell, right? Very true. I mean, the biggest award I ever won here was Edward R. Murrow Award.
That's a big one.
It was a big one, about a woman and her daughter who went garage sailing every Saturday. And, the little things, but I think it was kind of the magic of editing, and it was all kind of natural sound, them talking to each other. Oh, that was fun.
It was very fun. It was very fun. How about for you, Betty Lou?
I think my most fun was Take 5, of course, but also like a really close up there is all of the Country Music Association awards that we got to go and cover the stars on the red carpet. It was so fantastic. And everybody, all the guys who had the satellite trucks in other states, all knew Elmer Gunderson, our chief engineer. And so he'd be tuning us in, we'd be high behind the Opryland, and they'd go, "Gunderson, is that you?" And it was just so neat. And I remember coming back one time to the truck because we'd been in the Opry House, you know, at the Ryman, and we'd be doing interviews and so forth. We'd come back, and Elmer was just laughing so hard he was about to fall over because Bill Engvall was on. They were talking, and they were talking, getting ready to go on for an interview, and it was like he just. You know, they weren't on the interview, but it was just talking between themselves, and he was just roaring. I just thought it was fun. And the other thing is the telethon, and I'm so glad that you stepped in after I departed, because that was a big thing, the Jerry Lewis telethon, and I just am so grateful that we all had the opportunity to help.
Absolutely, they were the best. Remember when Brad Paisley saved our CMA show? So we had this technical difficulty. We couldn't get the shot out from the red carpet. I'm running back and forth, and this guy with us was like, he pulls this guy in this velvet olive green blazer, and because Mary's back here at the station going, you guys need to fill the half hour of time. And this guy in the olive green blazer was Brad Paisley, kind of before Brad Paisley was Brad Paisley.
He was from Arista Records at the time.
I think he was a new artist.
I said, this is Brad. He goes, this is Brad. I know Brad Paisley because he'd been here and, you know, for the Stampede. And I said, yeah, he's great. He can talk and he's wonderful. And shoop, you know, I mean, not just singing. I mean, because a lot of the entertainers, you know, they really need to learn how to do an interview and so forth. And he was just amazing and still is. And that is a great story.
And that's what I'm like, I love Brad Paisley from now till forever. Okay, finally, one word to sum up WIBW, Mary.
Integrity.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Happiness.
Oh, I love them all. I love them all, and I love you all. Thank you so very much.
We
so
love
glad
you.
to have you back. Since its beginnings, WIBW-TV has held a strong commitment to our rural viewers and the agricultural community. We partnered with WIBW Radio, as we continue to do today. That is how many of you came to know Kelly Lenz and Kathy Patton Strunk. Thank you both for coming back. I so appreciate it, because you kind of are rock stars. When I first moved here, I remember going to the first ever farm show that I covered, and that was all anyone could say. Where's Kelly? Where's Kathy? I'm like, what?
And who are these people?
Who are these people? You have gone on, Kathy, to a Hall of Fame career.
Yes,
what are you up to now?
Well, grandkids, great-grandkids, and still have cows and calves, so I still have those farm background roots.
Oh, how fun. And Kelly, how have you been doing? What are you up to?
I am retired, and my wife and I enjoy traveling, but COVID really put a wrench in that and some health issues I had, but we are home again.
I love it.
Ready to do more traveling.
In more ways than one, home here
as
well.
And I must tell a very, very quick story. I normally was the moderator for the Midday in Kansas program, and Kathy filled in for me.
Yeah.
And I was near Fairview, Kansas, which Kathy knows because she was from that area. And I was with a farmer up there, and we were hunting. We took lunch that day, went to the little restaurant in Fairview. And for the first time, I'm looking at the program from the other side. And it was full of farmers. And the program came on, weather, everybody was quiet. News came on, there were a few hushes. The ag report came on, and you could hear a pin drop.
It's how you realize the impact that you
And
have.
here I am, tucked in the corner, in a DeKalb cat, looking as inconspicuous as I possibly can. And it taught me a lesson that people relied on that show, and the agricultural audience really relied on the information that Kathy was communicating with them.
Well, you know, we looked into the archives ahead of this, and our chief photojournalist, Doug Brown, was like, you got to see this video I found. But first of all, there is something from one of Kelly's more glorious appearances on the news. But then also, you're going to see something that maybe illustrates just how long the two of you have known each other.
Yep.
Kathy Patton, Director of Public Relations for the United Farm Wives of Kansas, appeared on Channel 13's Midday in Kansas program earlier today, and she summed up the feeling of the farm community this way.
If the farm and ranchers have taken such a big 20 to 30% drop in profit in the past 2 months in the meat industry, where is this extra money going? I think we do have the right to know.
So Kelly said 6 seconds is a very long time, and the limp was real on that. But this, Kathy, was this even before you joined the farm team?
And that's how Kelly hired me. Was my PR volunteer position.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you transition from that into doing farm reporting, Emmy-winning farm reporting on a daily basis?
I went from teaching school to teaching gifted farmers, I say.
Yes.
And Kelly.
She did a great job. I got to tell you this, she was, I think, and Kathy may correct me, farm broadcasting up until that point was primarily a men's profession. Mm-hmm. And then there was one woman who joined from Illinois, and I think Kathy was number 2 in the country.
Wow. So truly a groundbreaking career. We do have a photo
absolutely.
of the farm team from WIBW back in the day as well, and Kelly and Kathy, you're both in this photo, but what does that mean to you? Did you realize at the time that you were breaking the ground that Kelly realized you were?
No, I grew up on a farm where I was treated like my 2 brothers, so I didn't realize there was a difference with a female and male role in the workplace. So.
How proud of you are women in agriculture today? What do we need to realize about the women who are out there every day?
Over 50% of farm broadcasters are female, and probably more like 60 or 70%.
Well, they picked up on technology quicker than men did.
What does it mean to you guys to have this legacy and this commitment to the agriculture community
I
still
think
continuing?
it means a lot. Kansas means a lot.
Yeah.
Kansas agriculture is, in my opinion, I was born and raised in Iowa. Worked in Illinois for 8 years. I came here, and the people in agriculture in this state have the most incredible conservation ethic I've ever seen in my life.
And Kathy, you still practice that today?
Try to, yes, every day. Yeah.
What do you want to leave our viewers with? We have a few seconds.
Well,
Give you a last word.
Technology has changed, but the passion for agriculture with Kelly and I probably have not changed.
No, not at all.
You need the passion to make it all work. I appreciate you two coming back to share the memories, because the radio TV part of the family, folks, even though we have different ownership, this was a big part of our history.
It was
and this
the family.
is a great example of how you were part of the family.
And you didn't even show any of our animal stories.
You're welcome.
I got attacked by a turkey at Thanksgiving.
That's for another day.
Yeah.
Bye all. A lot of people have come through the doors since then, and we're excited. A few of them are returning to visit. We start the party today with Mike Elliott, Carlos Fernandez, and Kent Cornish. Gentlemen, welcome home.
Thank you.
And let's go down the line.
Right now, is people at home going,
click. Mike, when did you work here and what did you do?
I interned in 75 sports with Ron Paradis, Fred White. I interned in 75. I worked here in 76, 77, 78.
When did you get fired?
No. It was a long time ago.
Carlos, when were you here and what did you do?
74 to 86. I started as a cameraman, became a producer of the 5 o'clock show, then became production manager, then program manager, and then operations manager.
And Kent, when were you here? What did you do?
I started as an intern same year with Mike. I was in news until 80, then I went to Kansas City, and then I came back here in 84 till 90.
Well, as you all can imagine, over 70 years, we do keep quite an extensive archive. And those tapes have not completely fallen apart.
That's too bad.
So I want Mike, you've been excited to see photos. Take a look at what we found from Mike.
Elliott, is that your new rugby uniform?
I want to give you viewers variety.
What is this, Halloween?
Is what I will be wearing in the Ballet Midwest production of The Sleeping Beauty.
I have no recollection.
One of the lords of
We're going to be in the Ballet Midwest.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh, Ron Paradis.
So
that was
obviously
a
you guys
benefit.
had a lot of fun.
That was a benefit. And
Yes.
Yes, and that is
Look at that great chroma key.
Right?
Look at that! Look at that tie! What a job!
What are your best memories of your time here, Mike?
When I came, I was a kid. My best memories are I came out here as a kid, and I got such support and a foundation to, end up who I am today. And everybody was so great. Carlos was a mentor. I started with Kent. We were the same age, but
Where did you end up in your career?
I went to New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a Northeast kid. From here, I went to New Haven, Connecticut. Then I went to Louisville, Kentucky. And then I kind of hung it up, met a guy, started a business. That was 42 years ago.
Goodness.
So basically, I'm a businessman. I'm still working.
And you still love the memories here.
Oh,
so,
unbelievable.
You guys, you kind of kept Carlos behind the camera. So we only have photos of you, Carlos. But when you look back at some of the experiences.
It's
and
Jerry Wallace. That's a 5 o'clock show we were talking about. It was a talk show at 5 o'clock.
And you had a camera in your hand quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's we took a visit to Taiwan, and I don't know where this was. And we used to go around visiting.
Those are the client parties.
Oh, were
that
they?
would happen in the fall.
This was a documentary I'm told you did inside Lansing Prison.
Yes, Scared Straight.
Oh, goodness.
And man, I wish I had that hair.
What did you learn here in your time here?
It was an awesome place because they just kept giving you more and more opportunities. You know, and when they say you want to try this, I go, I don't know anything about programming. We'll teach you. You know, and so they kept promoting you.
And where did you end up in your career? Because you learned a lot of skills.
I did, and Stauffer Communications, which owned the station, bought a station in Columbia, Missouri, so they sent me there as a general manager. Then I was there for 8 years, and then I went up to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where I was a consultant with Frank Maggot Associates, and then I was down in Austin, Texas, where I managed the station there at NBC, and then ended up in Quincy, Illinois. I like smaller towns.
Well, I'm glad that you came back to visit, and we do, Kent, don't worry, we have video of Kent as well. This is your life, Kent.
We'll be back next Sunday. I'm Kent Cornish.
I'm Jim Hollis, News 13.
According to Kansas Gas and Electric spokesman Bob Reeves, the problem is not serious.
We have a report from Kent Cornish of Topeka's WIBW-TV.
Earlier, I talked to them about some of the changes this year.
This year, we are going to be on locally more than we ever have in the past.
Telethon.
And so the one was Ed Bradley introducing your piece when you went to cover the Whippoorwill tragedy.
He shot that piece.
Oh, did he?
Not the tragedy part, but the follow-up, which was that. So.
And
we used to do stories. CBS had a 15-minute newscast on Sunday nights at 10 o'clock.
There you were.
And they were always looking for people or stories. And Kent got a great connection with him, and we did quite a few stories for him.
And telethon as well. The other piece was you talking about telethon. Kent, how did that lay the foundation for the life of really service? Because you ended up at the Kansas Association of Broadcasters that you ended up pursuing.
It was just another one of those things that you got to do. It was fun. I mean, there literally was never a day that we worked. I mean, we did our stuff.
That's true.
We had so much fun in the studios, outside the studios. And, you know, my recollection as youngsters was very few people were married. And so there weren't families tugging at you. Somebody needed to work overtime. Somebody needed to stay up all night. You just did it. And because it really was enjoyable.
It was a great place.
Yeah.
It was an awesome place. I'm sure it still is.
Well, exactly. I'm so glad that you came back because we always love seeing our family members who have gone on to other places, but really to come home. We're so proud to have all of you here. We'll let you guys go and look through the photo box. That's what they've been doing since they walked in the door. See if you can find any more of yourself with hair.
These photos are 50 years old. It's unbelievable.
So Mike, Carlos, Kent, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed catching up with these folks as much as we did. It's really a source of pride for all of us who are here and also for some of our younger staff members to really see how much pride there is in everybody on air and off air who have come through the doors of WIBW-TV over our 70-year history. Of course, it wouldn't be possible without everyone who has watched us for all that time, everybody who's listened to us all that time. We really appreciate all of you because you support the work that we do for the community and for all of you. So thank you so much for being here. If you want to see the videos, see what these people look like after their time away from the station, be sure to check out my Facebook page, WIBW Melissa Bruner. They're also on WIBW.com. And of course, you can find them on our YouTube channel as well. Just search WIBW 13 News. Click subscribe while you are there. Thanks for subscribing to our podcast as well. Until next time, we'll see you on the Red Couch.